Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a look at video games, but probably not in the way you're used to. We're going to go beyond the entertainment and really dig into how they can be these incredible training grounds for real-world emotional skills.
You know, for years, this debate has been raging. People worry about wasted time, about toxicity online, and on the other side, you've got players who swear they're learning really valuable skills. But what if we've been asking the whole wrong question? Let's dive into what the research actually says about the hidden curriculum that's waiting inside the game.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the playbook for what's called social and emotional learning. Then we'll see how games act as these amazing learning labs. We're going to map gameplay directly to some core skills, figure out the secret sauce that makes it all work, and finally talk about why this really, truly matters.
Okay, first things first. Before we can even begin to talk about games, we really need to get on the same page and understand the science of social and emotional learning, or SEL for short.
So, what is SEL? Well, it's basically the official term for what most of us call soft skills or emotional intelligence. You know, those fundamental abilities that help us understand ourselves and get along with other people. It's kind of like the instruction manual for being a well-adjusted, collaborative human.
Now, the leading group in this field, an organization called CASEL, they break SEL down into these 5 core areas. This isn't just some abstract theory, it's a really practical roadmap of the skills we all need to thrive. So keep these 5 in mind because this is the exact lens we're going to use to look at video games.
All right, so where do video games come into all of this? Well, a growing body of research is showing they're way more than just fun and games. They're actually these complex learning labs, places where you can practice these exact skills with immediate feedback, and you get the freedom to fail and just try again.
And wow, this chart right here just perfectly illustrates that point. A huge study looked at high school esports programs, analyzing tons of data, and when they tracked what students were actually learning, look at this. SEL indicators, that giant first bar, just blew traditional subjects like math and English out of the water. So the key here is, these skills aren't just popping up occasionally. They are the dominant thing being learned. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. We can actually map the things that happen minute to minute inside a game directly onto that 5-part CASEL framework we just talked about. Okay, number 1, self-awareness. In a fast-paced game, you have to know when you're feeling frustrated, or maybe when you're feeling overconfident. You learn pretty fast that your emotional state has a direct impact on how well you play, forcing you to connect those feelings to your actions. And that leads us right into self-management. This quote from a student, it's perfect. He's talking about getting tilted. If you're a gamer, you know exactly what that means. It's that state of pure frustration that just tanks your decision-making. But notice what happened. His teammates helped him regulate that emotion. He's actively learning how to manage it. And it's not just about getting angry. It's about persistence, pushing through a tough challenge. It's about managing the stress of a really close match and learning from your mistakes in a place where, you know what, you can always hit respawn and try again. Next up, social awareness. You just can't be a lone wolf in a team game and expect to win. Success means you have to be able to read what your teammates are trying to do, guess what your opponents are going to do next, and really appreciate the different skills each person brings to the team.
Which, of course, leads directly to relationship skills. This idea that gaming is an isolating activity is just not the full picture. As this quote points out, it's a deeply social and collaborative experience that requires a ton of coordinated effort.
I mean, players are constantly talking, giving feedback, getting feedback, figuring out who should do what, all while they're under pressure. These are the core skills for building good relationships, and they're being practiced over and over in a setting that's actually fun.
And finally, we have responsible decision-making, which is really at the heart of all gameplay. Every single click, every single move has an immediate consequence. So players are learning to analyze complicated situations in a split second, weigh the risks, and make choices that affect the entire team.
But, and I really want to stress this because it's probably the most important part of this whole explainer, these benefits are not automatic. The research is crystal clear on this. You can't just hand a kid a controller and expect them to become an emotional genius.
To really maximize this learning, you need 3 key ingredients. First, you need some kind of intentional structure, like a school esports club. Second, you need positive mentors, adults and more experienced peers who can show them the ropes. And third, and this is crucial, you need guided reflection, a chance to talk about what they learned and how it applies to, real life.
Without that structure, learning is just accidental. And yeah, online spaces can get pretty toxic. But with it, The game becomes a practice field for real-world skills. It's really the difference between a random pickup game at the park and playing a full season with a dedicated coach.
So what's the big takeaway here? Why does any of this actually matter?
It really comes down to meeting students where they are. Researchers call this a Trojan horse approach. You're using something kids are already super passionate about as a vehicle to deliver these essential human skills. It makes learning relevant, and in the process, it actually helps make online spaces more positive.
So when you look at it this way, it kind of reframes the whole conversation. Maybe purposeful play isn't the opposite of productive work. Maybe it's one of the best ways we have to prepare for it. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.